Following the rating success of Who Wants to Marry a Multimillionaire, Mike Darnell and Mike Fleiss became the two most important names in the dating show world. These two Mikes ushered in the future of the modern-day dating show as we know it, both bitter rivals and best friends, and about 1.5 feet in height difference. But that's not important. Mike Darnell is considered the king of reality programming. In the 2000s, as the head of the reality show production division of Fox, he created massive hits such as American Idol, The X Factor, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, Hell's Kitchen, Joe Millionaire, and Temptation Island. He also has one of the worst beards of all time, and I really think you gotta get rid of it, Mike. Oh my God. Keep the beard. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Mike Fleiss, on the other hand, is a reality show producer that is most famous for being the creator of The Bachelor and all the subsequent spin-offs. These two men could look nothing less alike. What unites them is their complete dedication to putting TV on air that no one else was willing to touch. No idea was stupid enough. No show was invasive enough. No headline too incendiary. As Robert Thompson, a Syracuse professor of media and pop culture, claims, just as John Ford and Howard Hawks were two of the great auteurs of the golden age of Hollywood, Mike Fleiss and Mike Darnell are two of the great auteurs of the golden age of cheese. We watch these shows to mock them, to stick our elbows in the ribs of the people we're watching them with. Sometimes we like to wallow in the mire, and Fleiss and Darnell make very rich mire in which to wallow. So let's, together, wallow in the mire of these two great minds. Mike Fleiss saw this demon bastard baby being birthed in the form of Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire, looked at the viewership numbers, and knew there was something here. He's on record as saying the next show he came up with only took him 15 minutes to conceive. Instead of a televised event, they could stretch it out to be a season long. Survivor was a massive success at this point as well, and the structure of eliminating contestants helped build drama and intrigue each episode. The original premise of the new show was for the whole season to take place on a plane, but that was scrapped for a cheaper option of using a Malibu mansion. There would be one dashing man and 25 single women vying for his love. Each week, a contestant or contestants would be eliminated until only one remained. At the end of the season, there would be a winner and the possibility of a proposal. The show would be called The Bachelor. But across the country, there would be an event that would change our lives forever. New York, 2001. You do the math. I didn't include talking about 9/11 to make some edgelord joke. It's not like 9/11 made The Bachelor. That's not the case. I'm including it because I truly believe, through the data I've aggregated and the testimonials of people working within the reality show industry at the time, that 9/11 is one of the key inciting events for the first massive boom in dating show popularity. 9/11 spawned the 24-hour news cycle that has become commonplace in our everyday lives. The world was a confusing place. Never had American citizens had to fully deal with terror attacks of this scale on our home soil. The illusion that all was well, all was safe, had been ripped away from Americans. For once, we were the victims, and we sought an escape from the 24/7 news coverage that filled our brains with images of death and loss. Alton Brown outlines in his Hot Ones interview that he believes 9/11 was the greatest single cultural influence for why the Food Network became so popular in the early 2000s.
I have to say 9/11 because the entire country wanted comfort, and they turned to food. Food was all of a sudden the only thing that people really wanted to watch. And I remember what happened to the ratings at Food Network. It was unreal.
Feel-good and less dramatic content became the focus of studios post 9/11. CBS saw its ratings rise following 9/11 as it focused on silly sitcoms or easy-to-understand TV procedurals. And reality TV. Dating shows provide a different comfort than barefoot Contessa making a bolognese sauce. What dating shows allow is for you to be comfortably angry at something, to let it all out, to apply your anger to something that does not matter. Post 9/11, we were angry at the terrorists who did this, angry that our government didn't prevent it, and angry at the idea that life would never be the same. Yelling at your TV, watching the news as we send more troops to Afghanistan didn't provide a cathartic release. Our 19-year-old neighbor going to Iraq and returning in a body bag for a war that never had a real solution was too hard to come to terms with. So dating shows went in front of us and said, "Be angry at me. The world's a shitty place. At least you're not this girl crying on national television over a guy she just met. At least you're not having these boring, facile conversations over and over again. You feel like the world is too complicated and frustrating? Well, here's a very obvious relationship dilemma with an easy solution. And these dunces cannot figure it out. But you'd be able to." Lynn Spiegel and other media critics contextualized television in a post-9/11 America as focusing on a moral binary. Viewers wanted to be in the moral good over others in order to make themselves feel better. And there is perhaps no better form of television than dating shows that allow you to feel morally superior to someone. And we'll see, time and time again, when the world gets worse, dating shows get more popular. The early 2000s are the first real boom of dating shows. The time period following 9/11 is the single biggest boom in dating show popularity to date. The number of seasons for dating shows skyrocketed from 5 in 2002 to 13 in 2003. As I said previously, dating shows' popularity cannot just be attributed to 9/11. There had to be a show that captured the nation's attention. The Bachelor changed everything. The Bachelor premiered on March 25th, 2002 on ABC at 9 p.m. on a Monday. Chris Harrison, who will be the longtime host of the show, kicks it all off by letting us know that this isn't the old version of dating shows. This would be the most dramatic and emotional dating show to date.
But this is no ordinary relationship show. The stakes are considerably higher here. This is about something real, something permanent. You know, the whole till death do you part thing.
It turns out every single new season of the show would also be the most dramatic and emotional season to date, which technically makes this the most boring and reserved season.
Get ready for the most romantic season in Bachelor history.
It's the most dramatic and emotional ending in Bachelor history.
Get ready for a Bachelorette like we've never had before.
This season, more women fell in love more quickly for Jason than for any other Bachelor.
Nick will drop a bomb that will change how you feel about him, Caitlyn's season, and everything.
But before The Bachelor was destroying the very fabric of your own reality, let's go back to season 1. So, season 1, The Bachelor was Alex Michelle. Wait, he's just a kid. He can't. Oh, never mind. He grew up. That's good. And Alex Michelle was looking for a wife. Marriage was the goal of the show. Gone were the prizes of a chaperone date from the dating game. The Bachelor promised to up the stakes. This man was going to marry one of these 25 eligible bachelorettes as they went on some of the most romantic dates possible. The structure of The Bachelor has remained largely the same even to this day. We get a blurb about our dreamy bachelor, followed by ladies being introduced in a limo, where we get to hear all about these women.
People often get the wrong impression of me. Since I am from Kansas, they get the opinion that I'm very innocent, but I'm actually very different. I am very open sexually with my partners, and one of the craziest things I've ever done was purchase a trapeze for some entertainment.
The majority of the episodes were dedicated to these luxurious dates viewers could only dream of going on, like going to the Las Vegas Canal or having mud thrown at your boob. Each week, contestants were eliminated in the closing parts of the episode called the rose ceremony. Anyone who watches The Bachelor or has just seen one episode can tell you that the rose ceremony is the most dramatic part, it's the most recognizable in the show. They haven't really changed it, except for in the first season, there were video blurbs of the contestants that were shown to The Bachelor before he made his decision. Let's watch one.
I'm looking for the goddess. Are you the goddess?
Wait, no, that's
Who is the goddess? The goddess?
That's old footage, my bad. Anyways, there were only 6 episodes, an hour long each, until Alex Michelle chose Amanda Marsh, the sex trapeze girl. He did not end up proposing, but they looked to be headed for a long life together. Did they get married? No, of course not. Don't be silly. Although the show failed at creating a marriage, which was its supposed goal, audiences didn't end up caring if they got married or not. It averaged 10.7 million viewers, concluding with an 18.2 million viewership for its finale, making it the 3rd most popular reality show behind Survivor and Fear Factor, and the 44th most popular show of 2002. The Bachelor was specifically a massive hit with younger demographics, and more specifically, younger women. By the end of the first season, it had a 17 share in the 18 to 49 demographic during a time period in which ABC had previously been doing 7 at most. The Bachelor franchise was now ABC's highest rated show in the 18 to 49 demographic. When I say the sentence, it has a 17 share in the 18 to 49 demographic, that means that of all 18 to 49-year-olds that were watching television the night of the finale, 17% of them were watching The Bachelor. By increasing viewership for younger people, ABC could now diversify their advertisements, specifically to younger women, and specifically advertisers, namely beauty and makeup companies, wanted to start advertising more on ABC. If Jesus of Nazareth functions as a temporal marker dividing ancient and modern history for Christians, The Bachelor operates as the defining reference point for the dating show genre, both reshaping its structure and tone and facilitating its widespread popularization. What's most revolutionary about The Bachelor, outside of the fact that it was so popular, is the fact that its structure is entirely different to anything that we had seen up until this point. Dating shows had been episodic, self-contained to one single storyline, if you could call it that. The new format of The Bachelor was a game-changing shift in the industry. We could follow relationships far more in depth now, seeing how relationships either cultivated into love or imploded into elimination. The introduction of confessionals gave us a look into the psyche of the contestants and The Bachelor. The depth of the conversation increased, kind of, to include more real-world discussion of kids, money, hopes, and dreams. And contestants finally had a relationship with each other. This brings us to the second type of dating show. Previously, it had just been Game for Love. The new version of dating shows I'll call the Compete for Love category of dating show. They are categorized by having eliminations, season-long arcs, and a reality game show structure. Other popular shows in this genre are Love Island, Love is Blind, and Flavor of Love. This is the most popular style of dating show nowadays. The Compete for Love category of dating show skyrocketed in 2003, just after The Bachelor premiered. After the second season of The Bachelor, it was announced that there was a new spin-off of the show. It was The Bachelorette. It would star Trista, who was the runner-up of the season 1 of The Bachelor, and thus starting the Bachelor Cinematic Universe, where contestants from one of the shows will be used for the next show. And this is a trend that is continued to this day. There are many contestants who have been on both The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, and then later down the line, Bachelor in Paradise, or the shortly lived Bachelor Pad. There are way too many seasons of The Bachelor or Bachelorette for me to go into specifics. Amazing and terrible personalities and people have been on these shows. There's been utter chaos, there's been fights, there's been lots of crying, but there's one person who has a softer place in my heart than the rest. And that's a contestant on the 6th season of The Bachelorette. There are men so pure of this earth, it's hard to even imagine them not marrying their high school sweetheart, no less being on a dating show. I want to introduce you to a very special guy. His name is Kasey Call.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm Kasey.
Nice
to meet you. So, check it out. I know that you've been through a lot your whole life, and you've been through a couple heartbreaks and stuff, and you never had actually a guy be there to, watch your heart for you. I just want to let you know who I am, and I just want you to know that no matter what happens throughout the length of this show, no matter how far I go, no matter what happens, I want you to know that I will always be there to protect and guard your heart, okay? All I ask is just give me a chance to...
Kasey Call was on Allie's season of The Bachelorette. He's kind of a non-player to start the season. He hasn't been called first up at the rose ceremony. The camera has barely been on him. He makes so little of an impression, he's the final rose in the first episode, barely making it onto the next stage. But he doesn't care. He's already head over heels. He's just waiting for his big moment. His big moment comes in the form of a one-on-one date in New York City.
Smile, because we're going to New York.
He knows he's got to do something big, something special that no one else can do. He knows the stakes of the situation. He's poised, he's confident, and he's ready. Go get her, buddy. You got this.
This is reality. This is my future wife, and I'm gonna go after it like I go after anything else, with passion, heart, and as much love as I can. I've just been waiting for this special moment, and the sun was setting. We were just sitting right there. Here it comes.
Cheers.
Here's my moment. I hope she takes it in. When I was flying in the helicopter over this amazing city, I looked to my left and never saw something so pretty.
That was... Oh, he's still going.
At the end of tonight, I'm not just your average Joe, but I hope in my hindsight I'll see and find a rose. Yeah, it's pretty intense stuff.
I can't say she liked that, but luckily, this is only half of the date. So just tone down the singing portion and get to know her a little. Oh my God, he's singing again. Dude, stop. Like, ask her if she has siblings or something. Do anything else but what you're doing right now. In a shocking turn of events, Kasey is not given a rose from this date, but he's also not eliminated. So he gets to live to see another day. Right before the rose ceremony of episode 4, he goes up to Allie and has a conversation with her. And he tells her that he'll tone it down. The singing thing, it was a little weird, but he can work on this. And he can show her that he's really there for her. And he gets to stay. He lives to episode 5. And in the next episode, he goes on a 2-on-1 date. 2-on-1 dates are a very dramatic part of The Bachelor. It's where one person stays and one goes home. Both the contestants have to prove that they're worthy. And Kasey is selected to go on this 2-on-1 date with Justin, who is the season villain of season 6 of The Bachelorette. Allie outlines exactly what she wants to see Kasey do for this date, to make sure that he stays on, that he can compete, and one day be Allie's husband.
I told Kasey that I couldn't really handle how mushy-gushy he was with me. So I asked him to just take a step back. And the only thing Kasey has to do today is be normal.
Okay, you've got it. Kasey, just be normal. No singing, no weird catchphrases, Just be normal.
How do I prove my sincerity? How do I prove, my genuine heart? And the first thing that I told you when I got here, right, was that I promised to guard and protect your heart. What I actually did the next day was something that I've never done before. I actually ended up doing something kind of crazy, kind of fun.
What are you doing?
Something that will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Dude.
And I actually want to show it to you. I actually got a tattoo.
You got a tattoo?
What?
I did.
When?
It was so much fun. The next day. So you'll see that the shield is protecting the heart. I mean, if you count the studs, there's 11 studs. You had 11 studs chasing you after. And then I put the rose here because I never want to forget this memory.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here in this tattoo. First, it's the catchphrase he's used over a dozen times this season, which is he will guard and protect Allie's heart. Second, and maybe the most confounding, is the 11 studs in the top of the heart. That signifies how many contestants are left in the season. It's a number so arbitrary, a number that will only make sense in the context of a 2-day stretch in human history, that it stimulated my mind to think there's people like this. He didn't choose 25 studs to signify the full cast of the season. That would at least make some sense as a relic of the whole experience. The way Kasey saw it was, there were 11 contestants left, which means there should be 11 studs. After the next rose ceremony in about 20 minutes, the tattoo will be outdated. Kasey doesn't care. He's not looking towards the future. He's a man stuck in the present. Sadly, Kasey's tattoos and songs couldn't convince Allie he was the right man. She picked Justin. She picked the villain. Our hero was left in the icy mountains of Iceland. He watched as his love left with the wrong guy. We watched as he walked the mountains all alone. I mean, this is like Richard Pryor, Norm Macdonald, season 4 Simpsons level funny. This kind of entertainment can only be provided by a dating show. The mixture of cringe, humor, and drama is a microcosm of why I love dating shows. It's different for every single person. Some like the romance, some like the fighting. I love the humor. And more specifically, I love the comedic editing of dating shows. The Kasey storyline highlights how good the editing of reality TV truly is. They are forming stories and narrative arcs based on what the people give them. The shot of him looking at the helicopter? Incredible. Allie telling him to be normal right before he shows his tattoo? Sublime. The cut from Allie to Kasey as he starts singing again? I mean, chef kisses. Dating shows might be bad television, but that doesn't mean the people working on these shows aren't incredibly talented in their own right. There's a craft to making something like this. I think if you write off dating shows as just bad television, you're missing out on some really good stuff. Also, complete side note, Kasey got married after this show, and he has a child named Kipton, spelled with a Y. I love you, Kasey. I hope you're doing good. The Bachelor had just redefined what a dating show could possibly be. So you'd expect that the reviews would positively reflect that in some form, I guess. But The Bachelor is one of the worst reviewed shows in television history. It is hated for hundreds of different reasons. Some people think it's extremely boring. Other people think it's extremely melodramatic. A lot of people think it's demeaning to women. And if you're Ryan Craig, you think that The Bachelor is distracting us from honoring our veterans. Did Mike Fleiss care that every critic hated his show? No, of course not. You see, Mike Fleiss doesn't care what critics have to say as long as people watch his shows. I mean, this is a man that would make a show after The Bachelor called Are You Hot?, which was where hot people went up on stage and then were told that they were not hot enough. He wants people to tune in to a train wreck every single week. If I developed a soft spot the more I researched Chuck Barris, I developed the exact opposite reaction when learning more about Mike Fleiss. I'm not going to discredit his contributions to the history of dating shows. As I've already said, The Bachelor and its spin-offs remain the flagship dating show to this day. He's described as a jerk by many people that worked in the industry. Chris Harrison, the host of The Bachelor, described him as a narcissist. And I would describe him as a guy that wore sunglasses indoors and said things like this.
If you want to get on The Bachelor, you're constantly sending in these applications saying, I'm the one, I'm the Bachelorette, or I'm the man for this.
We just look for outgoing personalities. We look for herpes-free bodies. That's very...
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that, exactly.
There's an article in the early 2000s by Vanity Fair called The Reality Kings, which gives a look into the lives of both Mike Darnell and Mike Fleiss as they were currently changing the world of television. You get a glimpse into what Mike Fleiss was like behind the camera when he was making The Bachelor. Quote, he sits in an editing bay at his company, asking for better body shots. Can I see more sexy images of the girls, he exhorts his production team. After being shown footage of a tipsy Bachelorette, he says, I thought we had hilarious shit of her fucked up. Then after being shown footage of the tipsy Bachelorette retching behind a bathroom door, he says, I would loop a couple of those barf sounds. Loop the wettest one. Charming stuff. I wish this was the last time I was talking about Mike Fleiss, but the story of Mike Fleiss is not nearly done yet, and his effect on dating shows will be felt for the next 2 decades. Meanwhile, Mike Darnell had also made his own dating show. It took struggling couples, put them on an island, and then threw sexy new singles at them. And it promised to test the boundaries and limits of their relationships. The show was called Temptation Island.
I'm in heaven right now.
I don't think I want to watch the rest of that. Temptation Island at 9/8 Central, Fox, Wednesday.
So Temptation Island has been brought back. You might have seen the famous Montoya clip, which is the new version of Temptation Island, but the show is actually really, really old. It started in 2001, even before The Bachelor came out. And there is no existing footage of it that I could find. I searched everywhere trying not to pay to watch this show, and the only place I could find any footage of this was on this one guy's YouTube channel titled Season 3, Episode 1 and 2, Temptation Island, breaking down why guys in their 20s shouldn't date seriously. And it's a clip of the show where this guy gives dating advice.
That's what you should say. You can't let your woman know that your only eyes are on her, because then she's gonna dry up.
Safe to say I can't use any of this footage. Mike Darnell saw his protege had created an even more sustainable hit than Temptation Island, and decided to try to one-up his friend by making essentially the same show. A show that marketed the lead bachelor as a millionaire who had just inherited north of $40 million to the women competing for his love, but with the twist that only the audience knew about, which was that he only made $19,000 as a construction worker. It would be called Joe Millionaire.
This is the story of an average Joe who makes only $19,000 a year. And what happens when he is transformed into a multi-millionaire?
Thank you.
And then invites 20 beautiful women to a chateau in France who believe he has just inherited over $50 million.
Oh my God! This is a fairy tale. Oh my.
Darnell knew that the show was a direct ripoff of his friend's first big hit, but Mike Darnell operated in the same artistic state as Mike Fleiss. Anything was fair game to produce. At a pre-Thanksgiving dinner, Mike Darnell went up to Mike Fleiss and told him that he was about to hear about a show that he had produced. Darnell called Fleiss outside. He said, "Look, Fox needs a new big hit in the dating show realm, and I came up with something, but you're not gonna like it. It's pretty similar to something you've already made. Mike Fleiss said, "Oh man, okay, well, is it like The Bachelorette? Are you flipping genders?" And Mike Darnell said, "No, it's The Bachelor, but we added a twist." Mike Fleiss was livid. He said, "Are you fucking kidding me, Mikey?" They almost came to blows at the Thanksgiving party. Mike Fleiss couldn't believe that his friend had stolen his idea and marketed it as his own. But Mike Fleiss came to the realization that all sociopaths come to when they've been screwed over, which is, I would have done the same thing to you. They resumed their weekly tennis matches next week and are still friends by all accounts today. A relationship almost destroyed, if it weren't for the fact that both these guys realized they would stab each other in the back in a heartbeat if it made the rating number go up. This era of early 2000s dating shows is largely built on the one-upping back and forth between these two psychotic mics. But the idea of taking a pre-existing idea of a dating show and adding a twist and calling it your own has been the general philosophy of how new dating shows get made. Joe Millionaire premiered on January 6th, a day in human history in which nothing notable has ever happened. Would viewers care about a half-baked reskin of the original Bachelor? Mike Fleiss and Mike Darnell looked at the viewership numbers and waited. They could have never prepared for what was about to happen. What the fuck just happened? 40.1 million viewers. 40.1 million people watched the finale of Joe Millionaire. It was the second highest watched thing besides the Super Bowl in 2003. It is firmly within the top 20 most watched episodes of television of all time. I will say this is for the second part of the finale. It was a two-part finale. The first part was where he picked his bride, and that part of the finale had closer to about 20 million viewers, similar to The Bachelor. In part 2, he reveals the fact that he is actually not a millionaire to his winner. That got 40.1 million viewers. To this day, through all my research, this is the highest viewed dating show episode of all time, and it's not even remotely close. I don't think we'll ever get an episode of television that was watched this much. And it was for a stupid reprint of a previous dating show. Obviously, critics hated it. It does not occupy any real estate in the pantheon of popular television. We are not talking about Joe Millionaire 25 years later. It's barely remembered, and yet it sits as one of the most popular single seasons of television of all time. It is, by my estimates, the most watched lost media ever. 40 million people watched it, and yet there is no footage of the finale. I cannot find it anywhere. If you can find it, please send it to me, but I have looked for over a week trying to find it. The only footage I can find is from one video called The Slurp Heard Round the World. Essentially, Evan and one of the contestants sneak off into the woods to go kiss, but the editing made it sound like they had sex. But what it turns out to have happened was that they spliced audio from one of the female contestants getting a back rub from another female contestant earlier in the day and put it into the show to make it seem as though that they had sex in the woods. They were completely fabricating storylines in the show. Joe Millionaire obviously destroyed The Bachelorette in terms of ratings. But The Bachelorette Season 1 is one of the only seasons of dating shows where two people legitimately fall in love. Trista and Ryan are inseparable. They got married in 2003, and are still together to this day. They have 2 children together. This was the fairy tale romance The Bachelor had set out to achieve, and yet it got destroyed in the ratings department by a prank show. Mike Darnell thought that this was the future of dating shows, and they immediately made Joe Millionaire 2. And the season flopped. They went from around 20-ish million average viewers per episode to only 5 million viewers just in the next season. People didn't care anymore. The big reveal had happened, and they went on to better television. Joe Millionaire beating out The Bachelorette in ratings keys us into one of the rising relationship taboos during the mid-2000s, and that was the topic of money in relationships. Sex had long been the taboo subject of all dating shows prior to the 2000s, and while it still remained taboo in some form, the 2000s focused more specifically on the topic of money. The power disparities that exist with a partner that makes drastically more than the other, typically between a breadwinning man and a less well-off woman contestant. What women were willing to overlook in a partner, behavior that they were more likely to do in order to get a rich man's attention, were some of the central sources of conflict within these shows. Mike Fleiss and Mike Darnell were there to cash in. Fleiss is worth an estimated $140 million from his reality television shows. Darnell is worth at least 3 times as much. America in the mid-2000s was partaking in a great sex cultural transition. Pop stars were wearing less than they ever had before, porn was finding itself on family computers, and college students had begun to coin the term hookup culture. There was a flippancy to sex and its greater meaning than ever before. Hit shows like Sex and the City made reality TV about sex less and less novel. They shifted to money instead. This focus on materialistic contestants also spawned the idea of casting villains onto dating shows. The antagonist that's sowing chaos and discord throughout the fairy tale romance of The Bachelor villa. The villain edit has become a staple of The Bachelor and Bachelorette and most other dating shows. Trish Schneider on season 5 of The Bachelor is the first dating show contestant to get an outright villain edit on a dating show. It's one of the first times "they're not here for the right reasons" was ever uttered on a dating show. Saying they're not here for the right reasons is one of the main meta storylines that's common in almost every dating show now. And it's the idea that a contestant is lying about their love or intentions in order to get famous.
Seems like she's not here for the right reasons.
She's not here for the right reasons.
Nope. I feel like she may not be here for the right reasons.
And that I'm here for the right reasons.
Not being here for the right reasons.
Courtney's not here for the right.
But no show more than The Bachelor, who has a 12-minute montage of people just saying that one term over and over again. It's what's been playing in the background this entire time.
Not here for the right reasons.
Or that you're nervous that I'm not here for the right reasons.
One thing I do know about
Chuck Barris, who couldn't have had a further tone he was trying to strike with his original dating shows, was appalled by the new version and the villain edits. He said, quote, "The whole world has changed. Shows now are terribly mean-spirited. You're rooting for people to be eliminated, rooting for judges to find new ways of being nasty. Unfortunately, it was only going to get meaner. Not every dating show could be as popular as The Bachelor, so there's 2 dating shows I want to highlight that are largely forgotten, but still beautiful. Or at least still make me laugh.
Ask any woman why she fell for a man, and chances are she won't say looks, which gave us an idea. Fox Tonight, one beautiful woman will begin her search for love among 20 eligible men. She'll meet them, date them, and learn everything about them except
let the masquerade begin.
what they look like. Get ready for the ultimate face-off.
This is really their shot to really show me who they are.
But once she's chosen Mr. Right, will love last when the mask comes off? Things could get ugly. On the new series, Mr. Personality, hosted by Monica Lewinsky, premieres next on Fox.
Boy Meets Boy is the first gay dating show ever made. And I'll just leave it at that.
One exceptional gay man.
I want to make a huge attempt at finding a connection.
15 extraordinary suitors, all vying for his affection.
Everybody's out to get this perfect guy. That's definitely ingredients for a lot of drama.
In the end, he must select just one man.
Will you stay?
I would love to.
But appearances aren't always what they seem.
You assumed I was gay. Why?
What neither the gay suitors nor the leading man know is that some of the suitors are straight men pretending to be gay.
I love you.
Competing to win a cash prize. Find out when two worlds collide as we bridge the gap between gay and straight.
I hope that I'm making the right choice.
Not even Monica Lewinsky could make the dating show genre more popular. The number of seasons of dating shows dropped to 7 by 2005. There was a massive burnout in the mid-2000s on reality TV and dating shows. It's not like they were making great stuff, except Boy Meets Boy. Dating shows had an identity crisis at this point. They didn't really know if they wanted to be funny or if they wanted to be sincere, and one dating show would change the tone for the rest of dating show history. Dating shows are funnier because this show happened. Chris Abrego and Mark Cronin, who were executive producers for various MTV reality shows, decided that they'd take a stab at dating shows with a noticeably smaller budget and lean into the more comedic side of reality TV. All they needed was a retired MC of one of the great rap groups of the 90s. The show would be called Flavor of Love. Flavor of Love debuted on VH1 on January 1st, 2006. Flavor Flav was the hype man of Public Enemy in the 90s. He is the most famous hype man in rap music history, but by the mid-2000s, he was far less famous. He was more of a caricature of himself, constantly rhyming and exceedingly corny, but also endearing in his own special way. There are thousands of reasons why this show would never get aired now. Mainly, it was impossible to actually believe that anyone would come out of this marrying Flavor Flav. The editors of the show knew this. There is an almost like Arrested Development level of contradiction and poking fun at these contestants that it employs constantly. There's quick cuts after testimonials about how great Flavor Flav looks, and then showing him looking absolutely horrible.
When I first saw Flav for the date, I was like, damn, what a smashing outfit, you know? Purple is the color of royalty, creativity, imagination, and passion and sensuality. I love it.
For real, y'all know how to roll?
There are fights in every single episode, not just like one or two in The Bachelor. Literally every episode of this show, there is a screaming fight. And it's hilarious. Like, Flavor of Love is laugh out loud funny throughout. There are some moments in the show that go down in history as the funniest things to ever happen on reality television.
I'm just jealous because all of my friends that know me tell me that I remind them of Beyonce, so you can all...
Beyonce, sweetie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that an ugly ass bitch like this would even say that. Oh my God, are you insane? Beyonce? You know who you really look like? You look like Luther Vandross.
Reality TV is almost a false moniker for this show. How much of it is real? It's genuinely hard to tell. Flavor of Love positioned itself as a spoof of The Bachelor, and almost all dating shows for that matter. Flavor of Love harnessed the fact that dating shows were incredibly unpopular at the time, and it used that to its benefit. It's fairly genius.
I know y'all heard of that show called The Bachelor.
Flavor's the Blacks in Love!
They used clocks instead of roses, the episode titles are crass, and Flavor Flav gave nicknames to every contestant because he couldn't remember their names normally. He also had trouble staying awake during the show. The biggest way in which Flavor of Love differs from The Bachelor is that it is almost entirely about the women on the show. For the first couple seasons of The Bachelor, it is mostly focused on the Bachelor himself and the women second. It's about his decision, and we're all led to believe that the women are all equally there for him, and that they all have the general same thoughts as each other. Flavor of Love focuses far more on the women and their relationships with each other. In the first season of Flavor of Love, Flavor Flav is on the show for a whopping 42% of the screen time, almost half that of the first season of The Bachelor. How do I know this? Is this common knowledge? No. I took a stopwatch and watched both seasons and timed every time the two were on screen. I hate myself. What Chris Abrego and Mark Cronin found with the show was that they could just reduce the worst part of any dating show, which is men, and the show would get more entertaining. They could focus more on the women contestants because they struck gold on casting. New York, the nickname given to Tiffany Pollard, is on the Mount Rushmore for best personalities in dating show history.
They're like a loud pack of idiot bitches, and I'm sick of them already. What? Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Not you. You can choke. This was the first interaction I really had with Brain, so I wanted to see her anger level. I wanted to see if I was powerful enough to twist her mind.
The show makes her the main character of the season. This was the first time a contestant was the main character of a season, as opposed to The Bachelor or Bachelorette. In the end, Flavor Flav picked Hoops, real name Nicole Alexander, over New York. Nicole would later get engaged to Shaq. Fun fact. Flavor of Love is the most popular show VH1 has ever aired. It drove 7.52 million viewers on its season 1 finale and ranked as the top TV event of the year with the 18 to 49 demo. Yes, of the year. It was that popular. Flavor of Love is also the most famous predominantly black dating show ever made. The Bachelor and other dating shows in all of history up until this point were extremely white. I find it pretty disheartening that the most famous black dating show is essentially a spoof, but I place less of the blame on Flavor of Love and more blame on the executives of other dating shows for how they were casting. And I specifically put the most blame on Mike Fleiss. You see, Mike Fleiss had criteria for who could be on The Bachelor. They had to be skinny, they had to be pretty, they couldn't have herpes-ridden bodies, as he said. But he failed to mention that they also had to be white. Mike Fleiss didn't believe that black people should be the main characters on dating shows, or any person of color for that reason. It was one of the worst kept secrets in the reality show industry.
And he had this thing where he did not believe that the Bachelor franchise should be racially diverse. And his arguments, according to people that I have talked to, stem from the fact that the audience, he didn't believe, would like it.
Mike Fleiss sits under a long list of gatekeepers of the romance genre throughout history that reserve stories of romantic love only for white people. Dating shows are not some outlier in terms of their racial discrimination within the wider diaspora of American love stories. The first major motion black romance movie didn't come out until Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It in 1986. There was well over a half a century of white romance films before that. What Mike Fleiss and many white men before him all share is the same God, the God of ratings. It's a God that all TV executives prayed to. The network news executives during 9/11 prayed to the same God as Mike Fleiss. Chuck Barris was one of his first patron saints. Television is a business first and art second. Mike Fleiss famously said, "If you want highbrow, read a book." As The Bachelor kept becoming more popular and Mike Fleiss's fealty to the god of ratings only grew, the Bachelor franchise became more and more sanitized. He wanted to appeal to the lowest common denominator of white America. He wasn't on a quest to make fun and obnoxious television like Flavor of Love. He was on the pursuit of making something perfectly average. His future of dating shows had no flavor. But if there's one thing this era of dating shows doesn't lack, it's excitement. Flavor of Love would usher in the trashy era of dating shows. It coincides with other popular dating shows that would air on VH1 and MTV. Rock of Love with Bret Michaels was even more misogynistic and chauvinistic, distilling many of these women to sex objects.
Oh, yeah. Oh, damn. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Something about to pop. Thank you, God. I'm feeling extremely horny, and I'm telling you, I'm ready to explode. Just give me your...
Shot of Love with Tila Tequila threw in a bisexual twist. Tila Tequila was a popular MySpace model before she landed the show, and before she would later become a Nazi.
Then I'll bring together the ones I think have a shot at love and reveal my biggest secret. I'm a bisexual. Oh. Yeah! After...
While I would wager that The Bachelor and Joe Millionaire are trashy in their own special ways, the new era of MTV and VH1 dating shows were extremely low budget and are distinctly focused on making you laugh first and then possibly care about the romance if you had enough interest left over. These shows never claimed to be good or real, the way that The Bachelor or other major cable dating shows paraded around. They claimed to be fun, and they were. MTV also started their own version of Game for Love content in the form of Next and Parental Control. Both highly scripted, trashy, and essentially a middle finger to the idea that anyone could find love on these types of shows.
I won't even notice if this girl has a good personality, because I'm going to be staring at her boobs. Big bombs, big jugs. I'd like the right one to be a little larger than the left one. That would really turn me on.
That's what's up.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm a plumbing contractor.
And I'm Kathy, and I work with my husband. We have a wonderful son named Cody. He's smart, funny, and a super athlete.
But there's one thing we just can't stand.
You like that? His girlfriend sucks.
If you think this is hard for Cody, imagine how tough it will be for Natalie when she sits down with his parents and they watch the dates together.
Close your eyes. Oh my God!
Gotcha.
Shut up!
By 2007, MTV and VH1 are the most important and popular players in the dating show space. They vaulted their ratings up 12% year over year after Flavor of Love premiered. Dating shows weren't just a way to fill network time for them. They were the entire strategy moving forward. And then the 2008 recession hit. Dating shows are the cockroach of the TV ecosystem. Not only are they off-putting, but they're entirely resistant, even flourishing, in times where the world around us crumbles. If 9/11 was just a coincidence for the flourishing of the dating show genre, then the 2008 recession is a vindication into my theory of dating shows being a recession or disaster indicator. The number of dating show seasons peaked back to 2003 levels in 2009. We tend to think of economic recessions as a decline in everything. We bought less, we made less, did less. But in 2009, we actually watched TV more. Executives were tasked with how they could keep show costs low and still take advantage of the increase in TV consumption. If only there was an incredibly popular and cheap way to get eyeballs to your channel. Wait, and get this, it's all non-union. Can it get any better? Gang, it's time we talk about unions. In 2007 through 2008, WGA staged a 100-day writers' strike. The core issue surrounded how writers would be compensated for new media in the ways of digital streaming and DVD sales. In retrospect, digital streaming would obviously become the bulk of the industry, and writers knew this. Studio execs claimed that the business vertical was experimental and had to prove it was lucrative before the writers got a piece of the pie. In the midst of their demands, our dear friend reality TV/dating shows popped up. WGA's claim was this: although the dialogue might not be written, the decisions made by the producers and creators were clearly thought through and written beforehand. Studios were seeing such success with reality and dating shows because it was specifically non-union. No actors needed to be paid, no writers needed to be on set, and there was no visual effects team. The Joe Millionaire writers and editors sued Fox for sweatshop-like conditions. Also on this day, the host of the VMA Awards, Diddy, promised a big party. The WGA dropped reality TV being unionized in order to end the strike and be compensated for new media. To this day, WGA writers are not a part of the reality TV writing process. Based on this decision, the WGA and studios came to, we had a lightning rod for even more dating shows to be produced during the 2008 and 2009 recession. MTV and VH1 dominated this time frame, making new seasons of the big three of trashy dating shows, which was Flavor of Love, Rock of Love, and Shot of Love, but also producing spin-offs of these shows, such as Daisy of Love, I Love New York, and Megan Wants a Millionaire. VH1 would also leverage tabloid culture and produce the show For the Love of Ray J, which sought to capitalize on the fame of Ray J post-sex tape with Kim Kardashian. What was the beginning of the end for the trashy era of dating shows was a murder. Ryan Jenkins was a contestant on Megan Wants a Millionaire, which is a spin-off of Rock of Love that lasted 3 episodes and was immediately canceled after it was revealed that Jenkins had killed his wife, Jasmine Fiore. But hadn't he just been on a dating show? How did he have a wife? Well, it turns out, after getting eliminated on Megan Wants a Millionaire, he went to Vegas and had a whirlwind romance with a Playboy model, Jasmine. This incident drastically changed how contestants were background checked for reality and dating shows, and the psychoanalysis depth got deeper as a result. Ryan Jenkins was a Canadian national, and he had no prior American record, but on his Canadian record, he had previous assault charges on a previous girlfriend. Mind51 sued Collective Intelligence, who was the casting directors for almost all VH1 dating shows. For their mistake, they were sued for reportedly $12 million. Dating shows in the 2000s had been built on the backs of people like Ryan Jenkins. Charismatic and emotionally volatile. Dating shows' allure comes from this emotional instability a lot of the contestants seem to have. They help remind us that our dating lives could be a lot worse, that we ourselves could be a lot more socially inept. We love romantic drama in our lives, as long as we're unaffected by it. We seek out emotionally charged situations, especially if we won't have to live with the consequences. I would postulate that this is why dating shows get more popular when the world gets harder to deal with. We want to watch people scream at each other, instead of us having to be the ones that are screaming. Someone having an emotional breakdown on a dating show won't affect us, and the hope is that after the cameras stop rolling, no one will be affected. But unfortunately, I don't think we care after we stop watching. We certainly didn't then. During casting, the crew felt like something was off with Ryan. but he was charismatic and would likely start fights with contestants that would hopefully lead to better ratings. This streak within him would make him a prime dating show contestant and also make him a prime candidate as a possible abuser. Our love lives are unfortunately not as interesting as we would like to believe for the most part. Most relationships that end can be chalked up to a couple key categories, with the uncomfortable truth that there was not a good versus evil battle being waged. Simply humans that couldn't connect long term. There's a banality to heartbreak that makes it that much more frustrating. The same little disagreements that happened over and over again. Dating shows ignore the monotony of relationships failing by trying to find people that can't deal with the empathy required to gracefully face rejection or heartbreak. Some of you have dated a Ryan of this world. Some of you luckily haven't. But there's an icky part within ourselves that wants to see this kind of person on a dating show. VH1 and MTV were now forced to pull back on casting people like Ryan Jenkins, which was at odds with the product they were trying to sell. This era of dating shows didn't end solely based on what Ryan did. There's a couple of other factors that help explain why we don't see TV like this anymore. Prestige TV boomed in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Shows like Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Game of Thrones were the most popular TV shows of the time, and executives wanted to shy away from the PR nightmares of reality shows and focus more on making high art content. The ratings for reality TV also began to stagnate. Season 3 of Flavor of Love saw a 15% downturn in viewership compared to the previous seasons. The early 2010s are the birth of the aspirational reality TV that should make you feel good about your fellow man. Shows like The Voice, Top Chef, America's Got Talent, X Factor. These were almost entirely all Mike Darnell shows, and they were celebrating people rather than making fun of them. After the trashy dating show surge in 2009, the number of dating shows dropped significantly to 1990s levels. The 2010s are by no means a golden decade for Americans, but through most KPIs, the early 2010s are a relatively happy era of American history. Dating shows outside of The Bachelor hadn't proven that they could be popular when we were happy. It was a good run, guys. We could hang our hat on The Bachelor being our one prevailing installment from this genre. Mike Fleiss won. His future was going to be our future. Then, England happened.
Oh, I got a text! I got a text!
Wait, boys, I've got a text.